of the people the warrants have been issued to at this issued for at this time. The Winnipeg Police and other law enforcement agencies in Manitoba execute warrants on a regular basis based on a series of priorities. When we execute warrants, obviously going to someone's house to try and find them where they live would be an obvious step.
Okay, and can you explain to people listening why you guys don't disperse these rallies when they're going on in order to reduce the risk to people's health?
We're talking about the public health rallies?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, the police service has a number of different priorities to consider when we decide to take a course of action. Keep in mind, again, to the work of the Public Safety Investigations Unit, we're working hand in hand with them, and the reality is they have been present at all of these events, doing their work, collecting their information to provide the most likelihood of success when these tickets go to court. It's not as simple as just going in and dispersing. That sounds like a simple solution, but in the reality of our democracy in Canada and people's right to gather, in combination with a health order that is subject to interpretation when it comes to how close does someone have to be in a group, makes it a much more difficult task to do that. So we rely on the investigators to gather the information and the evidence when we know we have something we can act on and it's appropriate, and then we will take the action.
Can I ask, if you're not asking a question, to mute your phone, please? We're getting some feedback here at HQ. Okay, next to Stephanie from CTV.
Hi, so in terms of Chris Dye's warrant, will police be able to do anything with that, or does he have to physically come back into Manitoba in order for that to be executed?
That warrant is enforceable in Manitoba only.
And just in terms of, there's a rally, of course, planned for tonight. I'm sure there will be more in the coming weeks. Can we expect police to be issuing more warrants for arrest in the coming days and weeks?
And so to reiterate, these warrants were actually issued by the Public Safety Investigations Unit of the province, and that's as a result of the months of work that they've been doing to collect the data, the information, and the evidence to make the warrants possible. It's not as simple as one offense equals a warrant. As far as the event this evening, we are aware of it. We are working with the investigators from the PSIU, and there will be a visible Winnipeg Police Service presence there in support of our partner agencies.
James from the Winnipeg Sun.
Good afternoon. Just to clarify, will WPS be on site at tonight's rally if it goes ahead?
There will be a presence of the WPS in partnership with the Public Safety Investigation Unit investigators at the Forks tonight.
Is it possible that any other arrests could be made on site tonight?
Is it possible? Certainly, anything's possible. Are you referring to the warrants?
Yes.
When it comes to the execution of the warrants, we make those decisions based on a number of factors, timeliness, other sort of associated risks. So we will make that determination at the time based on what we observe going on at the Forks.
Ian from the CBC.
In regards to this arrest and the warrants, were they done in connection to the rally happening tonight?
I hope I follow your question. The warrants are standalone in relation to previous events. There's no nexus between the rally tonight and Public Safety Investigations Unit seeking those warrants. This has been something that has been ongoing for a lengthy period of time and a lengthy series of investigations by those members.
Thank you. You noted earlier that there's going to be a visible police presence at tonight's rally. In the past, police have been there, but they maybe haven't been visible. Why that change of approach for police to now have a visible presence at the rally?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we deal with things in priorities and escalation of including escalation of our efforts, including presence. So as we see things, around us continue to escalate our efforts in relation to COVID and related enforcement, there are things that we can do to also to educate and provide a presence so that people attending have the opportunity to be reminded that attendance in some of these events, and currently right now, any of these events, is against the public health order. And so to be there in partnership with members of the province, I think is an important step that we're going to participate in tonight. And again, we have been present before. Our involvement has been selective.
Mike from City News.
Hey, good afternoon. Apologies if this has been answered. I'm getting some bad audio here. You mentioned, I believe, that you can't comment on who the warrants are out for, but can you comment on who the arrest that was made was?
No.
Okay, well, this follow-up question is probably going to get a similar answer, but we're reading online that people are saying Pat Allard has been arrested. Are you able to confirm that?
I won't provide comment on that, no.
Okay, back to Steve from the Canadian Press. Do you have any follow-up, Steve?
Yeah, just following up on Ian's question earlier. So this is done, these arrest warrants were issued in conjunction with past events, you said. And so can you talk generally about why the arrest warrants were issued, for what kind of offenses? Was it for organizing? Was it for simple gathering? It sounds like the organizers should be targeted.
So as I alluded to earlier, I'm not going to comment on the content of the warrant application. It wasn't done by the Winnipeg Police. It was done by members of the Public Safety Investigations Unit. So it would be inappropriate, and I don't have all the information. But I will just make one comment or observation on your question, and that is the offenses don't stem from necessarily from a particular rally. These offenses stem from breaches of the health order. So that could be a variety of things. So I just want to make that clear. It's in regards to particular breaches of those acts, or those orders, excuse me.
Steve, do you have a follow?
No, that's good.
Okay. Dean from the Free Press.
As far as these offenses, what kind of penalties are they exposed to?
I don't have a list of the offense notice penalties. I know they have been subject to some change, including the surcharge. I could try and get back to you, or and provide that. I just don't have the list in front of me what the set fines are.
It's all strictly fines.
When we're talking, so we're not talking about warrants right now. We're talking about the issuance of a Provincial Offences Act ticket. My understanding is that for those breaches, it's a ticket with a set fine on it, yes.
You good, Dean?
Okay, yeah.
Taylor from CHVN.
Yeah, just one quick question here. You said a warrant is the next step after a ticket. How likely is it that someone who attends more than one rally could be subject to a warrant?
I'll stay away from the rally question and speak to just the process of obtaining a warrant of arrest. And this is a parallel in law enforcement in that the seeking of a warrant of arrest, we have to lay out basically our explanation, the police or investigators, as to why we believe a warrant for arrest is necessary. Within that explanation, we have to lay out the whole backstory, the efforts that have been made to other efforts like education, issuance of tickets, attempt to locate, etc. So that we call that an information to obtain. That is the scenario we have to lay out to a magistrate or a judge to explain why we think it's warranted. I hope that answers your question while staying away from the specifics of the rally.
Thanks.
Any final follow-ups, Taylor?
Nope, I'm good.
Anya from Global.
Yeah, we've heard from police that they respect people's rights to protest their charter rights, but frankly, these gatherings are a serious health risk, and on a day where we're seeing almost 500 cases, where is the line when it comes to shutting these things down before they even start?
Well, it is a delicate balancing act because it's not as simple as just blocking people from entering a space, because we have to remember the wording in the health order. We are obligated to consider that, and so it's a very difficult task to decide who is walking into a green space and for what purpose. And then once you have a large group gathered, how does it, the logistics of resources, information, education, partner agencies to actually make that work. So while ideally it makes sense as to why wouldn't we just tell everybody to leave, in the situation that I'm often in, I have to take consideration of resources, the impact of our decisions, and frankly the ability of alternative ways to deal with the enforcement. And we, with our partners at the PSIU, have been very effective in able to identify many individuals and deal with the enforcement in that manner. Hope that answers.
Any final follow-up, Anya?
No, thank you.
Stephanie from CTV.
Just kind of steering away from rallies, if you can even talk anecdotally. So if a person, say, were to have repeated gatherings in their backyard, their garage, something like that, could they also eventually get to this point where a warrant is issued for their arrest?
So I'll revert back to the answer I provided about the path to a warrant of arrest. Again, there are a lot of steps and efforts made before we get to this point, and that is the case with these 6 warrants. So not sure there would be a parallel for what you've described, but again, I'll go back to the obligation the police have, or investigators and law enforcement have, in laying out their justification to a magistrate or a judge as to why a warrant of arrest is appropriate. And sometimes it's deemed that it's not, and we have to go back and do other work before that warrant is granted. So that is an important step in the process before a warrant is issued, that additional scrutiny.
Anything else, Stephanie?
No, thank you.
James from the Sun.
Yeah, approximately how many officers will be on site tonight? And is there any indication that Chris Sky is in Manitoba right now?
I'm not going to comment on our operational plans for the evening, nor am I going to comment on that individual's plans for today.
Anything else, James?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Ian from the CBC.
The provincial government has considered court injunctions. Has police been involved in any discussions on the use of court injunctions?
No.
That covers it for me.
Okay, Mike from City News.
Yeah, just a simple question here. Can you just comment on how many warrants have been put out and how many led to arrest?
Could we repeat?
Can you repeat the question, Mike?
Sorry, yeah. Can you just say how many warrants are out and how many led to arrest?
How many warrants? I couldn't tell if you're saying warnings or warrants. Warrants, sorry, excuse me. I'll confirm my comments early on that 6 warrants were obtained by the Public Safety Investigations Unit for the province of Manitoba. 5 are still outstanding.
All right, is there any final questions? Hearing none, thank you for calling in today. Take care.
Thank you.